adventures. I don't want any more adventures. Thank you very much. Oh, nasty, disturbing things they are. As Bilbo Baggins said to one annoying wizard, I have no use for adventures. They make you late for dinner. It would be so much more pleasant to just sit back and relax and enjoy your tea and crumpets, but here you are, rushing out of your comfortable hall to meet elves, find treasure and fight dragons. It's so damn exhausting. You end up wanting to go home, but it's too late. The world behind you has changed and you can't go back. And then you realize that adventures never end. You have no control over them. But someone has to carry on the story. And so... this is a story about a girl who left her native Kiev and immigrated to Middle Earth. She was born in Ukraine, but she didn't want to be a Ukrainian. You see, instead she wanted to be an elf or a hobbit, and she wanted to live in Middle Earth. Quite natural, isn't it? She wanted to go on an adventure, and on an adventure she went. She was allowed one suitcase, weighed 23 kg, on her one-way flight with Uzbekistan Airlines. You see, to get to her Middle Earth, she had to travel first to Tashkent, and then to Kuala Lumpur. She flew over the boundless snow-covered steppes, over the enormous forests of green palm trees, over the deep seas and oceans, and finally into the long white cloud of Aotearoa. She saw from above the tall spire of the neo-Gothic Christchurch Cathedral. Oh, it was beautiful. Look. And the green dome of the basilica, and she thought, this is my Middle Earth and the end of my journey. I've come home. She didn't know that her journey was only beginning. So here she is in this great new world. It is weird and wonderful. It is summer here instead of winter. And the stars have rearranged themselves into the new and strange constellations. Do you know which one is the Southern Cross? Anyway, in this weird and wonderful world, there are no high-rise apartment buildings, but instead a lot of small cottages, fat ducks, and a pretty little river called the Avon in the city center. It's not a match to the mighty Dnieper, of course, which separates Kiev into the right bank and left bank. The Avon is a typically hobbit river, nice and homely. Locals walk barefoot. And they lie on the grass. Everybody in Ukraine knows that only drunk people lie on the grass. Somehow, the grass does not suffer, but the sense of decorum does. Oh, and there is more. There are flowers in the parks. The whole field's carpeted in whatever flowers are in season. And no one picks them to sell at the nearest metro station. And they're not even guarded, those flowers. I mean, in Ukraine, you'd probably need one armed guard to every single daffodil. Yeah. There is more, there is more, there is more. They drink tea with milk. Milk. Not lemon. I ask you. in cafes. Oh, in cafes, they give you this cute little milk jug, and you are hooked before you know it. And they don't eat пирожки. Пирожки. They're little delicious buns with various fillings like cheese, or cherries, or potatoes, or meat, or cabbage. Cabbage, yes. Anyway, they don't eat пирожки, but they eat muffins instead. At first, this muffins tradition is a bit of a letdown. Oh, пирожки with cherries. But I guess if you're desperate, then blueberry muffins are not bad. Yeah, not bad at all. Blueberry muffins. Why didn't Ukrainians think of blueberry muffins first? Anyway, where was I? Yes, thank you. So, in this brave new world of hobbits, unguarded daffodils, and blueberry muffins, our protagonist looks at the Canterbury Plains and Port Hills towards the distant mountains and dreams of Lothlorien, pretending she's an elf on holiday in the Shire. In reality, she's much more like Bilbo Baggins setting out on his unexpected journey, cluelessly optimistic in the middle of an enchanted forest, bumbling towards the dragon's lair. But shh, let's not tell her that just yet. Let her be an elf. In the Mountain, in Lorien, seldom have walked the feet of a man. Ah, Elbereth, Giltoniel. Ah, Elbereth, Giltoniel. Bum ba ba bum ba ba bum 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 bum. However, she's now faced with a big and unexpected question. Do elves speak with an accent? Because you see, she discovers that somehow while soaring over those steppes and forests and palm trees and seas and oceans, she acquired an accent. She never had an accent in her whole life, never. And now, boom, accent. What's more, in its transition from one alphabet to another, her name somehow gained a lot of new letters, mostly consonants, and become very discombobulating and exotic. So the question is, can she still be an elf with this highly discombobulating non-elvish name and accent? Is it yes or is it no? Is it yes?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Optimistic audience. I love you. You are, yes, very optimistic. Well, the thing is that the correct answer is no. I know, that's very sad. You see, it turns out that having a non-English accent and a name bursting with consonants, it's like wearing a t-shirt, ask me where I'm from, 24/7. And if you tell locals that you are from an elven kingdom just over those mountains, they won't believe you. No. You see, they are relentlessly curious, like scholars of natural science who spotted an interesting bug. And so, to get a pot of tea in a cafe or a pack of pencils in a stationery shop, you must discuss your point of origin first. So what a lovely accent! Where are you from? Christchurch? The city with the big cathedral? No, I mean, where are you really from? Ukraine? What? Ukraine? Where? Well, it's a country in Eastern Europe. You hate making people feel uncomfortable, and so you say, well, you see, it's like Russia, but not quite. Ah, Russia! So you are Russian! Okay, let's say I am Russian. It's easier, and I really want that pot of tea or that pack of pencils. As the years go by and the accent doesn't go away, people start giving the girl valuable pieces of advice. For instance, they tell her that as an actor, she must be able to change her accent at will. Otherwise, she will be forever stuck, as she currently is, in the roles of Russian gangsters or mafia seductresses. The logic here works like this. If Benedict Cumberbatch can speak with an American accent, then why can't you speak with a Kiwi accent, or an English accent, or a Canadian accent? You're not trying hard enough. What's wrong with you? One friend even suggested hypnotherapy as a cure. The girl also gets told quite a lot that her English is very good. People usually speak very slowly and quite loudly when they say that, just to make sure she understands. Yeah? Good. So if anyone in the audience right now has a distant relative who traveled to, say, St. Petersburg in the year, say, 1992, I'm all ears. But maybe not just right now, after the show. It is also your duty to tell me if you have an uncle who's got an album about Lithuania from the 1980s with photos. Photos are really important. They're supposed to feed my foreign soul. But what about the girl who wasn't interested in your auntie's travels or your uncle's Lithuanian album? What about the girl who wanted to be an elf? Well, she wasn't allowed to. Besides, she had to compromise on becoming a Russian, because nobody knew where or what the heck Ukraine was. One day, a Russian neighbor gave the girl a book, which, according to him, would explain everything and opened her eyes on the terrible world of conspiracy. Whose conspiracy? The Jewish conspiracy. Against whom? Everybody! Us! The Russians! It will transform your whole world. It will explain who is to blame. Blame for what? For what they are doing to us. Blame for
everything.
Thank you. You see, because the girl spoke the same language as the neighbor, he generously included her into his world. the world of people who speak without an accent. Reverently, like a holy relic or the sword Excalibur, he gave the girl a solid book with yellowish pages. It looked like a volume of magic spells. Curiously, the girl opened the book in the middle and read the title, Russian Sayings About Jewish People. That was, indeed, an eye-opening experience. They were blamed for
everything.
The things they did, the things they're still doing, the things they know that we don't. They are cunning, ugly, perverted, evil, and they are everywhere. Realizing what sort of book it was, the girl quickly closed it and carefully washed her hands. Then she put on her protective gloves, wrapped the ancient poison into a rubbish bag, and quietly dropped it back into the kindly neighbor's letterbox. She had avoided the neighbor ever since, and never told him that her grandmother was a Jew. Her name was Bella. Her family lived in a small Ukrainian town called Pavlograd. For many centuries, her ancestors survived pogroms and many other unpleasantries, and generation after generation came to rest in the local Jewish cemetery. In 1941, the era of the Holocaust, Bella, with her parents and grandparents, were finally forced to leave their ancestral Pavlograd. They fled from the advancing Nazis in the very last moment. Pursued by relentless bombings, they ran and ran and ran until they finally reached far away Kazakhstan, barely a suitcase among them, a tiny village, thousands and thousands of kilometers away. There, in 1942, Bella met and fell in love with a young wounded soldier. His name was Alexei, and he was Russian. After 3 months' romance, she married him. They had 1 month together. Then he was sent back to the front line, and she never saw him again. He went missing in action. My mother was born the next year. In 1945, Bella returned to her heavily bombed hometown. Right next to it, she discovered an abandoned concentration camp, and in the city, the remnants of a Jewish ghetto. Bella's daughter, my mother, had to be raised in the world haunted by these past horrors in her ancestral Pavlograd. Shortly after the war, one summer holidays, Azov Sea, near the big city called Mariupol. The train with holidaymakers was traditionally met at the station by the prospective landladies offering rooms for rent. A lovely Ukrainian lady offered Bella a room in her house near the sea. She kindly helped Bella to put her sick child, my mother, on her own bicycle and picked up one of Bella's heavy suitcases. As they walked down the street, she said, "I'm so relieved I met you. They say there are so many Jews around these days. I'm so relieved." My grandmother stopped the bicycle and said, "Then perhaps we'd better go back to the station. You see, I am Jewish." The Ukrainian lady nearly fainted with embarrassment. You see, my grandmother did not look Jewish, and the lady thought that, well, Jews, they looked quite different from normal people. She thought that, that people were saying things after the war, all those terrible camps. There must have been the reason. There's no smoke without fire and all that. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I beg your pardon. I apologize. Please do come and stay in my house. I would be delighted. I would be honored. And so Bella came and stayed in the house of the lady who was absolutely terrified of hypothetical Jews. But you don't look Jewish. What a compliment. And what a shame that all those books with yellowish pages never stopped circulating. People always need to find somebody to blame, don't they? Even if that someone is completely mythical and doesn't really exist. So our heroine is very confusing. Is she a Ukrainian, a Russian, a Jew? But she didn't want to be haunted by the past horrors. She wanted to escape and become somebody else, something else, preferably not of this world. And one day, she saw somebody or something that seemed to be the most amazing creature she had ever seen. It was a human statue. It was the gargoyle. There it sat, a medieval stone monster in the middle of a busy 21st century Christchurch street. It was magical and playful. It was a piece of rock and a human being all at once. No one would ever dare to question the gargoyle's origin. No one would ever hear the gargoyle speak. No one would ever expect any human statue to speak. Human statues don't have accents! Yes! And so, the girl decided to become a human statue. She fashioned herself a silver robe and a crown of leaves and a pair of wings, and she stood on a rock made from an old recycling bin. She was now the silver angel of Christchurch. She stood on her plinth, surrounded by the neo-Gothic splendor of the famous art center, just like the gargoyle before her. an adventure, and it was exciting. She could feel the real stone angels of the city looking down and nodding at her with approval. And then everything changed once again. It's not only the bombings that make cities fall. In February 2011, her newly found home crumbled around her, and all the real statues turned to dust. The spire of the Christchurch Cathedral was no longer there, but the silver angel remained standing. Someone had to relieve all the tired city angels from their duty and let them have a nice lie down. What are you? Asked daring teenagers. Is that the Statue of Liberty? Asked the little girl. No, said her little brother, older brother. The Statue of Liberty is real. A baby pointed at the statue, fascinated. A toddler stared and burst into tears. Another toddler dropped a lovingly made daisy chain at the angel's feet and smiled at her. If we push her in the back, will she speak? Speculated the young delinquents. And the old lady stopped very abruptly and gasped. Oh my goodness! I wondered why they brought out a statue from the church. You are alive! Oh, you gave me such a fright. So, the girl managed to confuse everyone once again. Only now she did not have to answer any questions. She just smiled enigmatically from her plinth. She was finally allowed to stop being a human. Turns out, all she needed to do was to climb up on an old recycling bin. Did she really need to travel half the world and survive earthquakes to achieve that? But one can't remain standing on their plinth forever. The girl was, after all, human. She had to step off her plinth and be yet again interrogated about her home. At least several times a week. Around Christmas time, it always got worse. What a lovely accent. Are you here on holiday? Are you going home for Christmas? Are you here on holiday? Is your family coming here for Christmas? Are you here on holiday? How long are you staying in New Zealand? Are you here on holiday? Holiday, 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 holiday. She was asked these questions at least 3 times a day. When buying bread, when buying a bag of fertilizer, when buying a bottle of milk. Her human existence was relentlessly predictable. What a lovely accent. Where are you from? From Christchurch? No, I mean, where are you really from? From Transylvania, the girl wanted to shout. She contemplated making herself a nice set of pointy teeth, and when asked to embark on a story about a cozy ancestral castle in the Carpathian Mountains. After all, her father has conveniently grew up in the neighborhood, so surely claiming the vampire origin would be perfectly normal. Oh. Shh. Well, this thing with the Nosferatu origin didn't really work out. Need more practice. So the girl had to settle on the non-committal Eastern Europe when asked to explain her presence in post-earthquake Christchurch. The Christchurch that now craved familiarity and distrusted change and all things unfamiliar more than ever. And what was she doing here? She no longer felt like an elf. And New Zealand was no longer her Middle Earth. Nights were disturbed by the same stubborn dreams. Dreams about Kiev with its beautiful Byzantine churches and cathedrals lying in the dust. The angels and gargoyles from its marvelous Baroque facades broken, lying in pieces in the dust, too tired to get up, just like the stone creatures from the old Christchurch buildings. Every morning she felt a relief. It was just a stupid dream. The confusion of the earthquake-muddled brain. The disaster happened in Christchurch, not in Kiev. Christchurch was here. Kiev was there, far away. Kiev was safe. Kiev was sound. Its angels, tall spires, and golden domes were intact, unthreatened by the treacherous fault lines. How history repeats itself. Until the end of her life, my grandmother Bella was haunted by nightmares about German bombings. In her dreams she kept running and hiding, but no matter how fast she ran, the hair-raising wail of air sirens kept following her. Even on her deathbed, she kept reliving the horror of that evacuation. Finally, she was laid to rest in a quiet old cemetery next to her Jewish ancestors. Several months ago, Volgograd got bombed. This time from the east. Most of the pretty little town is now destroyed, including a quiet old cemetery. The wheel of history. Whose fucking idea was to keep it turning? When I first saw the footage of the air raid sirens over the main square of Kiev, the Maidan with its grand post office and the majestic marble columns of its music academy, I thought, this is just a dream. Just a confusion of an earthquake-muddled brain. Again, the bizarre mixture of a Second World War movie and earthquake nightmare. You must wake up. Now. Remember that girl who left her native Kiev and immigrated to Middle Earth because she didn't want to be Ukrainian? The first wail, the near siren, brought that girl back to Kiev. She thought Kiev was very distant, and yet, yeah, it was. How else else would she be able to hear the explosions from thousands of miles away? To feel the ground shake every time when yet another missile hit yet another target? Every morning she kept compulsively checking the addresses of most recent bombings and thought, this is next to my primary school. This is that cinema where I first saw Zorro. This is the market where a little old lady used to sell the tastiest pyrashki with cherries. She couldn't comprehend how the pretty woodlands of Irpin and Bucha could become the sites of mass graves. Things like that don't happen in real life. Things like that could not be happening to the favorite picnic spots of one's childhood. The sky would fall down first. But the sky did fall down. The universe exploded. The universe of pretty Ukrainian towns, the boring, sleepy, and inoffensive universe where nothing of interest ever happens. When the girl was a young pioneer back in the Soviet Union, her parents took her to Slavyansk one summer holidays. It wasn't an exciting destination. Slavyansk was a sleepy little resort in the east of Ukraine, in Donbass. Its main interesting feature was a salt lake full of curative mud, which didn't smell very nice. It seemed that time stood still there, and yet the girl was very impressed with its old railway station. It was the essence of an old provincial town which maintained its dignity despite the flaking paint. Its formal dining room may have been semi-deserted, but it boasted gleaming white plates, crisp napkins, and elderly waiters with their serviettes wrapped around their arms, like the epitome of an old-world restaurant. The waiters offered their patrons meat slices of the sweetest watermelon in the world. The town's tiny cottages were surrounded by lush fruit gardens. Everybody knew that Donbass was the place to buy the best peaches, apricots, pears, and apples in the whole country. In summer, they were sold everywhere by buckets for a song.
Через Майдан, через родное торжище людское, туда, где пчелы в гречневом покое. Переведи меня через Майдан. Смехом дышит порой меня и сам себя не слышит. Переведи меня через Майдан.
That railway station, with its quiet provincial dignity, its white plates, its elderly waiters, and its sweet watermelons, is now gone. past like a butterfly on display. I'm pinned to the Ukraine which no longer exists, whether I want it or not. I remember Ukraine the way it used to be and will never be again. Ancient monasteries, high-rise buildings, tall spires, old narrow streets, magnificent theaters, noisy markets, quiet cemeteries, the mighty river Dnieper, railway stations, wild forest strawberries, and fields, fields, fields. So many fields, as if I am watching the landscape running away from me through the train window. It's running away from all of us and out of existence as I speak. I'm watching it going, gone.
Майдана океане качнулся, взял и вел его в туман, когда упал он мертвым на Майдане. А поле не было, где кончился Майдан.